I love that opening. It just makes me smile.
Well, we have some more clips to add to it, so I definitely will be doing some work on it moving forward. But y'all, welcome to Read the Clue Recap. This is episode 7. It's wild. Angie and Danny are in it. Did we think we'd make? I knew we'd make it this far.
Absolutely. There wasn't a doubt in our brain.
I was confident with our navigational skills. As long as we saw a car and it was like, you're driving this episode, I was like, we're fine.
I think there was a lot of doubt in other people's minds after last week. I couldn't do anything by myself.
Yeah. Oh, so fun. Y'all killed it. Thank you so much. Blessings
It
from
was
Canada.
so fun too. It was just a fun day.
Yeah, it was. And like excited to talk about some of the stuff that didn't make the cut. But it was
very
great.
Fun. It was. Thanks for all the support from all the people that continued to believe in us.
Yeah, thank you. I know after last week's episode, the alliances, everybody wasn't too stoked. They're like, Danny and Angie, why don't you run your own race? Like, stop helping other teams. Well, that night we went to the hotel and we are going to run our own race the next time. Like, alliances are helpful, but we did.
I needed a day off. It was like, okay, I just want to run with my son. That's what we came on the show for. And we had a day where we just did that. It was so fun.
Yeah. Also, thanks, Ricky and Cesar. It was my birthday yesterday, and so it was so fun to watch that episode and have it land on my birthday. It was awesome to be able to celebrate with friends and watch. So, but I remember, I'm going to see if I have my notebook actually real quick because I've got.
Sounds good. And I can't wait to see you boys in New York. I'm super excited.
Okay, I do. So here is the fun thing. So we were in a hotel right next to Independence Square, which is in Montevideo. And in the hotel, we had a view of the city, of the point. And so the night before the race, I was sitting in the apartment just mapping out every street and seeing which way were one ways. I was just sitting there and seeing which way cars were driving to figure out which streets were one ways. And this was just the night before because I was like, okay, if there's anything in this area.
This was looking out the window. And I saw, do you remember? I saw the big area that we actually started in. I said, Danny, we're going way over there. And you're like, no, that's too far. I'm like, that's where we're going. So, yep.
Mom saw the fort and she's like, I bet we start there. We finish there. So I drew it out, but it was fun because having this map like drawn out the night before, we ended up using it.
We ended up the strategy of knowing the one ways, like it was like every other street was a one way. So we weren't surprised to see all those one ways this time.
I know. In Santiago, Chile, we kind of blew that first place lead by not figuring out our one ways, but this time we had one way. So we start in the back of the pack and we're in the last crew. Something they don't show is to start the episode. They actually had us running up and down the hill of the mountain because they wanted background footage of all of the teams racing up down the mountain. So we actually, before we even started the leg, probably ran up this mountain or this giant hill.
The hill. Yeah, it was a hill. It wasn't a mountain.
But we had us running up it and down it 4 times. And I'm sitting there going, thankfully, we had a nice 30-minute break while we let all the other teams leave. And then we were off.
That was crazy. But just saying, we did start in the last group, but we ended in the first group. That was really fun. Really, really fun.
It's fun to like have run the fastest leg of the day, like knowing that we ran really fast and we almost got first. We almost got first place.
I know that Ricky and Cesar.
Paris
running after him.
A nice birthday present, but maybe in the future, who knows? Maybe next leg.
I think they're gonna call and invite us.
I mean, we might start next episode in the first group. You never know.
You never know
what happens. So we end up leaving with Yvonne and Melissa and the firefighters. Hi, Oliver. And so we've got some big fans in the comments. Kayla's like, yes, that was phenomenal. We have a question though. Do you think production purposely broke up the alliance by putting you in the last group instead of middle like the week before?
Oh, great question. Didn't even think about it.
So I did. I had written in my notes based off of the
Of
previous
course.
season that it would be a 2-2-3 because they never had a group that was 2-3-2. The last group was always going to be the biggest group. And so when we had a group of 7, I knew that the split would be 2-2-3. And so I wrote down in my notes that day that we had to get 3rd or 4th to maintain in the second group. And I knew when we didn't step on the mat for 3rd place and we let Rod and Leticia and Vinny and Amber step ahead of us, I knew that would put us in the last group. And some people are like, wow, you could have won the leg had you just gone. And no, like I said, like we do things for a reason. It was a really cool opportunity. And we just wanted to show like service of like, hey, Amber and Vinny did this awesome thing for us, like Amber helping mom. And we wanted to just like return the favor. Even though we returned the favor with navigation, we wanted to keep true to our word. So, and this leg was awesome because we ran our own race. So we get to welding, Mom. And what is your thoughts? Who wants to see sparks fly?
I think at that point, both of us were game for doing it. So neither one of us had welded. Well, no, that's not true. You said you had welded in engineering class. So I was like, do it. Because we were 3 to 4 in the roadblocks. And we were both pretty, feeling pretty well. Some of our team got sick the night before. So I was really, really thankful that we did not get hit. Some of our cameramen, some of our producers, and some of our teammates. And so, just feeling thankful to be healthy that day. And so Danny and I were pretty like, whatever. And he's like, I'll do it. I'm like, great, which meant that I knew that I would be doing the next one. So
yeah. But a fun, like here, I'm going to show y'all. Here's a picture of the how to get there. So I saw actually kind of how to get there on the map. We were provided a map and I saw how to navigate us. And I navigated us like straight there, straight to the welding. We didn't have to ask for directions, which was like really nice at this point. I remember getting to the welding and in my mindset, I was like, if we're ever in the last group and we need to make up some time, I want to do a roadblock. Even though we were pretty even, I was like, okay, if we're in the last.
Wait a minute. What does that mean?
I don't know, Mom.
Yeah,
But
whatever.
I might have to eat my words in a future episode. So who knows? But
I will
Mom,
say one thing about that road. I kept questioning Danny, hey, should we ask for directions? Because it felt we went into like a port, like a industrial area, and like where we shouldn't go. It felt very like we shouldn't be there. So it was an odd for the teams that kind of were like, I don't know. It was an odd feeling to be driving in this particular area. It didn't feel like a normal race environment. So
yeah. But we had a question if Danny would have done welding on the first try. I don't know. I think welding took about 5 minutes, so maybe. But there's lots of things that you go coulda, shoulda, woulda, and that like there we did turn down a road where there was a big semi truck that pulled out in front of us, and we actually had to completely back out because the semi truck like just completely blocked the road and had to figure out another way to get there, which was really interesting. But the welding was fun. I welded in college. The guy was huge though. The guy doing the
he was intimidating just to watch. So yeah, he was. I was just so thankful Danny got it the second time. I really thought because the way he was hammering Ricky and Cesar's, and we were there, so I was able, being up top, I was able to watch what he was doing to everybody else's, and I thought, oh man, that guy has anger issues because he was just pounding away. Of course he was very kind, but it was just like Danny's is going to get slammed. But I was thankful because it got slammed once.
You doubted my welding abilities, Mom?
No,
Wow.
I just didn't know. So anyways, but we were in and out of there
pretty quick. So then in getting directions to the next location, it was fun. So it was the Plaza de la Fuente, which is probably one of the longer drives we've had so far. But do you remember who we stopped and asked for directions from?
No.
So there was a guard shack as we were
Oh
coming
yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
airport.
yeah.
There was a guard shack, and as we got to the guard shack, we were getting directions. Was it Busy and Sunny that came up and drove past us? Somebody
I
drove
honestly am
past
having
us
a hard time remembering. Maybe
as
it
we were
was Mel and Evo.
somebody, maybe it was Melanivo, but someone as we were getting directions drove past us, and I remember going, "Oh no, I got to make sure these directions are really, really good." But a fun thing is when I saw the directions and saw what street it was on, I went,
That was the one. Yeah.
"Oh,
Yeah.
this is very interesting. This looks
Yes.
very familiar." And so I was able to kind of draw out on the map where it was in relation to the ships and the one-way streets,
And
which,
it was all along the water. So
oh no, mom.
so so we went up that road and we went down that road a couple times, not because we did it wrong, but that's just where the race that was a main road that took us to a couple places
Yeah. And
along the
so
beach. And the only reason I remember that is there was a Starbucks. So I was like, oh, I so wanted just an iced tea right now.
it was funny. This was like one of the first Starbucks we saw. And mom literally, once we finished the race that day, was like begging the cameraman to go get her an iced
Well,
tea.
because our interviews were right next door to the Starbucks, right next door. And I'm like, hey, Brian, go over there and get me a Starbucks.
I remember the cameramen are like just laughing as mom because they
Like,
can hear us.
no.
They're hooked up.
Yeah.
And mom's just sitting there going, Starbucks. I want Starbucks.
Black iced tea. It was so funny. We
Oh,
were just so happy. The whole day was so happy that everything was just fun.
it
That
was.
was part of it. We had no idea, just an FYI, we had no idea what was happening with any of the other racers because when you finish up front, you don't see anybody and
Yeah.
you do your interviews and then they take you back to the hotel. So
Yeah.
we had no idea what was going on.
Yeah. But what was fun was, so we get to the like area that has and this is where we got a selfie, which is
Yes,
so
that was so
funny.
fun.
So we're sitting there asking for directions, right?
Oh,
And
I
then
remember this. Oh, wait, can I tell it? Can I tell it?
you
Okay,
can tell the story.
we were asking for directions, and Danny is yelling. Danny speaks his Spanish, and he was yelling, "Anyone, in Spanish? Anyone speak Spanish?" And the guy goes, "No," because we speak English. And I went, "Yes! Can you tell me where these directions are?" And then he goes, "Well, can we get a picture?" And Danny's like, "Yes, get a selfie." And then he's like, "Okay, go post that." So that was so fun.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I
Oh,
had my camera stuff all under my shirt. So it looked like I actually had people say, did she have IVs? Was she sick because of the last show? Everybody's been so worried about me, which I appreciate. I really am not a fragile flower, but but it was funny because I was like, I had all my camera stuff had shifted around. So it
yeah.
looks like I have all this stuff for health or something. I don't know. Everyone was concerned about what that was,
But it
yeah.
was fun because when we got home, our family was like, we saw this picture on Twitter and knew that you were still in the race, which was so fun. And just like, it was a great picture. So shout out to whatever fans those are. If you watched the episode, you made it, you're famous. We do have a question. Trying to remember from Ray Fletcher if any other COVID era teams have started in the last group and finished in the first group. Yes, Derek and Claire started in the last group in, I believe it was Jordan, and he found the medal really quick. And then they had a sprint to the finish line against, I believe it was Michelle and Luis. And Luis and Michelle got first, and then Claire and Derek got second.
And
so,
Ray, just the fact that my son knows all of that is just frightening to me. Good glory. Oh, my word.
Which is super funny. So we had a couple questions. Let's see. We have a question from let's see.
I love the questions. Keep the
No,
questions
questions are awesome. I think production has all the starts prepped and wouldn't change plans based on where teams were. Yep. So like everything, they want to be really fair in production. Like everything is fair. Everything's planned out multiple. Like I used to think as a fan, I was like, oh, non-eliminations are just used to save your favorite teams because it's seemingly always your favorite team that got saved by a non-elimination leg. Nope, like they have it pre-planned in advance. Part of it is the editing. Like the editing is they create really cool stories to like build. Like you probably have your fans. Like if you're watching this, like
Yep.
hopefully you're a fan of Team Walla Walla, but you
And
probably
you
have
probably think that I am like this really sick, old,
no,
can't do
not
anything lady.
at all.
But that's the
Literally
edit.
not at all.
Because I'm not.
Nope. I mean, you saw it in the drums. So we get to the second one, which is like, all right, mom, the detour is like singing, which is like Murga, or like the playing the drums. What was your
Okay,
initial
Danny wanted to do, just hands down, Danny wanted to do the I don't remember it being singing. I thought it was just a speech, but he wanted to do the talking. And much like Derek, I don't roll my R's. So I've been in speech for 8 years. So I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I can play drums. Danny's a pianist. I've been in band. I love music. We could do this. So we went and did that. But I didn't know how heavy those drums were. They were pretty heavy. But our guy was so good and so nice. So, and we did it
on try number one. So
time.
the fun thing about this was I wanted to sing because I was like, but mom had a valid point. Like go back a couple seasons where Derek couldn't roll his R's and like he was trying really, really hard. And then he ended up rolling his R's, which shout out to you, Derek. Good job for rolling your R's.
Yeah.
But mom was like, I don't want to have to do that. And so we were like, okay, let's go play these instruments. And it was heavy. And we were doing our things. Kayla was like, what was the temperature that day? It was a beautiful day.
It was beautiful.
It was like
it was
70.
68. Yeah, it was actually I remember sitting in our interviews and being cold because it was so windy. It reminded me a lot of the beach, just really, it was cold. It was all along the water. So
it was all along the water, which I loved. I was like, yes.
Yeah, it was great. I loved
good
it.
race day. Yes, Ray, me and you can talk Amazing Race for hours. I'm down.
No. I'm going to have to meet this Ray guy.
Yeah. Thank you. Rocking the stash right now for a little bit. We're seeing how it goes.
Oh my word.
So the two, Kyle asked, how close were the two detours to each other? So the two detours were 2 blocks from each other. So you got your costumes from the same place because you can see as we are doing. So we see Vinny and Amber there, which we're like, yes, Vinny and Amber, like, great to see you. Like, hope you're all
great to see you. We're in the first group with you now.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought. Yes. So,
but when they didn't get on their first try, so we had to practice. What they don't show is we had to practice over and over with the drums, and we had to get it clear on the practice before we could actually go and perform, which was like a really interesting, like it was kind of like
that was harder than the performance. I thought the performance was a piece of cake.
Yep, but they made us like practice over and over and over again. So after we got to practice, we go to perform, and it's so fun. We are just
it was a local thing. So again, the best part of the Amazing Race that I have loved over the years of watching with Danny is when you interact with the locals and do something culturally. And that was another one of those experiences. So that was my race moment. That in Santiago where we got to play with the people. I mean, it was such a beautiful day. Yeah.
And I remember like mom, there was like some specialness and like being able to play instruments and like growing up and like playing instruments. Like people are like, yeah.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say my dad had passed right before the race. And so it was just kind of full circle because my dad loved music, loved instruments. And it was just, as I was there enjoying that day, I thought a lot of my dad. And so the whole day was just really beautiful.
Yeah. Which was awesome. I was going to say, like, they didn't show it in the edit at all, but like we did that day, like kind of for grandpa and like talked about it and like just a fun, just a music day. It was Amazing Race challenges and we were thriving. Like we genuinely were just having a blast. So as we're finishing and waiting for our check and we see Ricky and Cesar go sprinting by us.
I'm like, we got to go.
And I look at mom and I go, Mom, we are racing for first place right now. And I remember yelling that out loud, and every other team is there. I probably should have been a little bit nicer, but like Juan and Shane were there, Rod and
Well,
Leticia.
you
And
weren't trying to be unkind. You were
I
just super
wasn't.
excited.
I
It
was
was
like,
like a
we're
2-year-old in
racing
a
for
candy store.
first. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah. It
but
was his
what
super fan moment.
this was a super fan moment. And as you can see, the driving, so we get to the car and I go, Mom, we are not stopping and asking for directions.
Do you remember our car and how it was
So
parked?
so this is something that's important to talk
Wow.
um a big important thing that we're going to talk about, but it was a race, but something that happened is you saw in the commercial a car pulled behind our car
Mhm.
in the parking, and you saw our car was trapped between two cars, right, Mom?
Yes, but it didn't bother me because I know how to drive stick shift, and I was just going to bump that car out of the way. I was going. So, I took about 2 turns and out I went. So,
Yep, we would have done that 3-point
and I
turn.
didn't hurt the other car. I was able to get it out of there, but
It took it took a tiny bit of time.
it took a little extra
Yep,
pause.
like
And
2
Danny did just
minutes.
wait outside the car for a second so that he could just guide me, so I wouldn't,
Yep,
hurt the
I was
car
like,
behind.
"Go, go, stop,
Yeah,
go."
we didn't want a penalty for a scratch on the car, and that's
Yeah.
what we were afraid we would get. So
Was it truly a close race between you 2 and Ricky and Cesar, or is it
yes,
all because of the editing? How close was it? So, the commercial, so we're in the car, like, we saw them leave,
Mhm.
like, and we're in the car, and I go, and our cameramen are trying to hype us up. They're like, "What do you think, kid? Like, are you racing for first? Like, what could happen? Like, this could
And
be
as
fun."
you saw Danny in the car, he's like a golden retriever in the back, just like, "Ah, I can't
Yeah,
wait."
I was like, watching it, it's actually really funny, not in a bad way, but I am cringing so hard at myself. I'm, like, sitting there going like, "Oh."
And I'm just laughing.
So, yeah, I'm just sitting there
Just
going like,
laughing.
"Wow." I was very excited to almost get first, but
Yes.
I was like, "We're threats, we're in it." I'm like, "Who says that?" I'm like, "What?"
Danny says that. Super
Yeah,
fan says that. Yep.
I'm trying to be a reality TV star over here. So funny.
It was pure for the people that are judging. It was pure joy. It was just pure joy.
Ricky Schaefer said, "Did you take the route
Yes.
along the beach?" Yes, so this route right here that I am showing is pretty much exactly how we did it.
Yeah.
We came, our car was faced that way, and then we turned left, went straight down a street, got on the beach, and then went all the way around the beach. But I remember this is one of the first times that I wanted to break a rule because Mom, I felt, was driving so slow. I felt Mom was driving so slow, where she was going like 3 over the speed limit, but I'm sitting there going like, other people are speeding. I'm like, "Mom, we can just," but there's like really strict rules on speeding on The Amazing Race, and we're rule followers, but I remember being like, "Mom, you can go faster. Mom, you
He
can go
was. He was
faster."
pushing it. We actually, I think what made one of the difference, and Ricky and Cesar, I don't know if you experienced this, but we got into some construction. Right, Danny, do you remember that?
So
Where our
that was
cameraman actually
so
had to put
that
go
was
ahead.
before, so that was
Oh, was that
beforehand. So,
before? Oh, I
yeah,
thought that was right on our way. So it seemed like it was on our way. No, okay.
yeah, but
So,
it
but it just
was
seemed like there was construction. I don't know. It just seemed, you're right. It did seem forever. As a matter of fact, I said again, my phrase for Danny is, sweetie, are you sure you know where we're going? I'll never forget this. And he
Oh,
goes,
this was the
oh,
episode.
yeah. He goes,
The
oh, he
superpower.
goes, we're somewhere. And he knew exactly we were safe. We were okay. And I said, okay, just tell me if I need to go somewhere else. But no, then he goes, we're somewhere. And I said, somewhere is not my secret weapon. And our camera and sound man just lost it because they knew all week I had been saying, Danny's my secret weapon. Danny's, and he's like, we're somewhere, Mom. And I'm just like, are you kidding me right now? So, but he knew that we were right where we needed to be. So he
I
played some little games with me too, just an
I
FYI.
I was like, "We are racing for first right now," and Mom is like, and I was like, "Mom, we're going somewhere. Like, we're somewhere. Just stay here. Just stay here." I remember
Oh,
the famous line. I thought that could have been the title of the episode. Like,
yeah.
"Somewhere
Somewhere is
isn't."
not my secret weapon.
We thought that that could be an episode title. I forgot they didn't include that. So,
Hmm.
But yeah, it was fun to like race down when we pulled up to the beach and I saw the car and then I looked to the right and Ricky and Cesar were on the mat. I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
But we must have been kind of close. I don't know, Ricky and Cesar, how long you were on the mat before we got there, but they usually move you off the mat when you're done. And so the fact that they were still on the mat just made my heart fill with joy. And honestly, I mean, yes, would it have been fun to come in first place? But it was almost just as fun for me to share the mat with those guys. That they're dear sweet friends, and it was just so much fun to share the mat with them. So
Yeah.
so that was a
I
neat
think
experience.
it was fun. Like me and Cesar connected like pretty much day one, day two about being like super fans. And I remember like it was just awesome to see super fans doing well on the show. And
Yes. And we're
yep,
talking super fans.
like
Super
super
fan
fans.
meets super fan. Cesar meets Danny. Super fan meets super fan. So
So it was genuinely so fun to share the mat with them. And then also to go like, oh, how many people have shared the mat with Cesar and Ricky so far? But definitely fun to like get second and know that we're in the first group going into next week, which is fun. Danny, you're like a kid on Christmas morning. Yeah, I am. I'm just so excited the entire
he
time.
is. That's what it was like living with him. And then in the hotel, he'd go back and try to, it was like he was shaking all the presents. He wanted to figure out what was next. What was next? I'm
Yeah.
like, just go to bed. So where's our clue?
Oh, yeah. We've got that. All right. We got the verse of the leg. We got the real cool clue. So this week was let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Matthew 5:16. And I think this week, like, it just was like having fun and being joyful and going like, hey, the love and compassion that we have for others isn't reflective of our own doing or like, I'm not nice because I'm nice. Like, I'm nice because like I'm filled with the Holy Spirit and like so grateful to like a God who is gracious to us and loves us regardless of everything. And so this is just an encouragement like that day of like, what does it look like to shine that love to others?
And that was a day that it was easy. You know, you've seen a couple days on the race where it's been hard for me, but I hope in all of that we still shared love with others. And I know people are like, oh, but you weren't very kind to the girls in the alliance, but we didn't have an alliance with them. And I knew that if they finished first, then I was done with the race. And so we stuck to our alliance, but then it was hard. That did hurt my heart. And so our job was to just really be kind to everybody and love everyone. And some days it's easier to do than others, for sure.
Yeah.
And we just had a really good time yet on this episode.
And like, we're not going to be perfect. Like literally we
No.
live perfect lives. Like I'm not out here being like, I'm all like, no, like I make mistakes. I mess up. And there are days where I don't shine Christ light.
Well, that's
but
the point of the cross. We're broken people. We need the cross.
yeah. So all right.
Yikes. What was that sound?
I got a text message.
Turn it off, baby.
Yeah, I will. So, all right, but we do have some tips for some super fan for those that are going to be on season 37 who may be watching right now. Here are some tips for you. Also, good luck. If you are watching this right now and you're about to be on it, super excited.
We're so excited for you and we're praying for you. And oh my gosh, we have butterflies for you.
We're stoked for you. So, number one, park where you can get out easily. When you pull in behind a car, if there's some space, leave some space between you and that front car. If you have the space to do it, that way you can pull out easily and you don't get trapped. That's something people don't think about, but it's actually like a very small, practical thing.
It comes with experience of driving.
Yeah. So, then use your downtime wisely. I was sitting there. Yeah.
Sleep
okay.
and wash your clothes in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's true. Or sit and look out your window and draw the area of where you're at. Also, as we were on buses, I was taking notes. I was like, all right.
He was.
This is a street. Like, so be intentional with your downtime. especially in a normal race. When you're a normal race, if you get time in the airport, you should be at the business center printing off maps. You should be asking people for their phones. You should be Googling things. You should not just go, oh, I'm going to this new country. I'm so excited. Put in the work to figure out locations, maps, like all sorts of things. So
become friends with your stewardesses on the airlines.
Yep. So, and then finally, take a selfie. It helps shows your family where you're at. Like if it shows up online, it makes fans' days, and you have fun photos to come back to after the race while you're waiting for your season to air. You're like, oh, look, we did this. So
I'm just looking at that thing protruding under my shirt.
Yeah.
I just think that's so funny.
Little baby.
And don't worry about vanity. I didn't take one stick of makeup. Now, do I wish maybe I had? Yeah, maybe, but no. A toothbrush and a brush and a ponytail. That's all you need, everybody.
Yeah.
And a hat.
So, and then I do have a fun weekly puzzle, so you can sit and solve it if you'd like to, but the hidden secrets of the final 7, emphasis on hidden. So, see if you can solve this puzzle. It's a fun little thing. So, but it's the hidden secrets of the final 7. So,
well, we had a super fun time, and the commercials are out for next week already.
oh,
So, very
Danny,
cool. And
Angie
they
make a crucial mistake losing their crew, or does our crew lose us?
Lose us. Who knows?
Do we make up the time? Who knows? What is the rule?
Who's Rihanna?
It's Rihanna.
Oh, see? Who's Rihanna?
I'm just kidding.
I still don't know.
No, it's Rihanna.
Oh, okay. See? So, what's so funny is that commercial aired, who's Rihanna? That shows me saying that. How do you say your name? I don't even know how to say your name. Rihanna. And then she was on the Super Bowl that year because, we waited a year. And I'm like, oh, now I know who she is. This is going to be bad for me next year. I'm going to take a lot of abuse for that one. And of course, they put it in the commercial. Appreciate that. Thank you, CBS. So.
We do have some questions. Did you pick your own hotels so you were at different spots? We did not. We were some people got to pick, one person got to pick the spot, and we went to that spot. So with the Expedia, so one person picks the spot, and then we go to that spot. Yeah. So then, do you get to connect with some of the other teams in your downtime, or you're completely isolated? You are completely isolated. Like it genuinely is like there's a babysitter outside your door. If you come out, they'll be
Here's
like,
how you connect. You both walk at night in your jammies to the water bottle station, and you get a water bottle or a piece of candy. I probably made 30 really loud stomps to the water bottle just so I could see another person. We all kind of got the hang, and you can't talk, but you can wave, you can say good morning. And for an extrovert like me, it was just so needed. I was just like, oh my gosh. Now on the regular series, you get to see each other in the airport, right? You get to have that conversation. So COVID is over, and it was a total different experience. So a total different experience. Yeah.
True. We also got some nervousness about next week. Some Dog and Snuggle says, what's your favorite challenge been so far?
I'm going to say this. Next week is my favorite. Roadblock. Super,
and
super
it does
fun.
show Mom the sneak peek is out, but Mom, it looks like is playing some pickleball, or is it tennis? Who knows?
But I had so much
but
fun.
Mom's athletic ability that y'all have been coming for.
That's okay.
We'll see what happens next week. So, thank you all so much for coming to read the clue. We're excited and so thankful for all of the followers. But my name's Danny.
And I'm Mom.
And this has been Read the Clue.
Really? He's still showing that